Sorry for that, Angelique. It just crashed. I have no idea what happened.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go ahead, and you're saying something.
Yes. So the Seychelles back in 2015 set up a department for the blue economy. It actually used to sit with the Ministry of Finance, again, making the point that this would be overarching. It would actually be supporting the financial development and economic development of the country. It now has moved to the Vice President's office. Again, the idea of this overarching view of things. So it has been functioning as a policy department, also a coordinating board, in the sense that it's able to coordinate between fisheries, the department's links to shipping, tourism based on the maritime activities, and so on. So it's had this overarching function.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I had my next question was to Paul, but I see that he has joined back. Yeah, we have been having this internet issues today. Paul, are you back?
I am now, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It froze again.
Can you hear me, Paul?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So this next question is to you. Now that we have heard of these opportunities that are there in Seychelles and Mauritius, as the World Ocean Council, how do you see that the companies that are there around the world, and again in your organization, how would they kind of take advantage of these opportunities? How do you see that happening?
Well, certainly it depends on what sector you're talking about, and different locations have different different sets of opportunities. So I think what's important is then looking for the opportunities to share knowledge and really allow companies in any given island state to be able to move as quickly and efficiently as possible to being successful and sustainable, and having the investment that it needs, and producing well their products or services. So this can range from a local tourism entrepreneur to the role of a global shipping company in a given island state, or an offshore renewable energy company. So to be able, what we really focus on is what kind of knowledge and information and experience can be exchanged between between companies that are looking to be active or already active in an island country, and how they can continue to grow and improve by learning from others elsewhere in their sector, others that are operating in other parts of the world. And I think in particular, to focus on these sort of environment and sustainability aspects is to help ensure that companies are able to learn from each other in dealing with impacts, pollution issues, sustainability, and so really advance economic development across the board or in island countries by good, responsible companies.
Okay. So I mean, that one point that you made was about learning, and then this is where I connect two things: learning and collaboration. Some of the projects that we have been working in India, for example, we have been looking at as a collaboration model. Like, you collaborate with an Indian company, and then there's a knowledge transfer. You do some projects, research projects together. That's how you start. You do commercial due diligence and so on. Like this, Sivraj and Angelique, do you think, is this the way? Is this the only way to go ahead in your respective countries as well, or are there any other models? Because what I also see is that big companies, they usually have a red carpet. They can come into your country and do business. But MSMEs especially, I mean, again, Paul, that you're here, how do MSMEs use these opportunities that they have to collaborate? Should they be collaborating with local companies? Is that the model? Is that the only model? Or are there any other ways that these projects can be facilitated?
Is that directed at me, Ranchan?
Yeah.
So, well, I think people can work together in a variety of ways. I think one of the one of the important, I think, levels to work on this is at the sort of the national and regional scale, and getting companies from the variety of components of the blue economy interacting with each other. And so we've been helping in some regions and really taking this idea of cross-sectoral collaboration and getting the sectors talking to each other and learning from each other at that scale, and then where appropriate, bringing in the expertise from outside that can be valuable, and creating regional networks as well amongst the sectors on common blue economy issues and opportunities. For me, the video here has frozen again for everyone. I'm not sure if you're hearing me. I'm going to reboot again and apologize. I'm not sure what the challenge is here.
We can hear you, Paul. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can go ahead, Sevraj. You can.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of the business model that we look at is, for Mauritius, we are very much open in terms of welcoming companies, partners who have expertise, who have the technology to develop a specific activity. For example, I'll just take one simple example. We look at fisheries, for example. So there are companies like SAPME. I'm sure you must be knowing about SAPME. It's a French company based closer to us in Réunion Island. So they have major operations in terms of fishing. The fishing fleet which are operating in the Mauritius flag, and then they have the processing units. They have the cold room. So they have the entire range of, I would say, they are vertically integrated in terms of the fisheries to the processing and then the market. So like this, we are. You mentioned like they are big companies. Okay, this is a big company they came, and then they have the opportunity to operate out of Mauritius. But if we look at a medium-sized company, for example, let us look at an Indian company. I would say that somebody who is looking at developing nutraceuticals, for example. Yesterday we briefly spoke about it, nutraceuticals. So there is an opportunity that if they have the technology, they come to Mauritius. We, at the level of the Economic Development Board, we again, in a sense that we lay the red carpet for them. We handhold them, we facilitate their project implementation, and all that happens through the Economic Development Board, which is a unique, I would say, one-stop shop for window for all investors, all companies that are coming to Mauritius for their projects. And now, having said this, they have the option of going on their own, 100%. They have the technology, they have the financial capability, they can do it. Or if they want a local partner, that is also an option that they can look at. So we work with different possibilities that are available. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Anjali?
Yeah, so I want to take a very concrete example with the loans that are on offer from the Sovereign Blue Bond. So we've chosen different models. One is the PPP model, where we would encourage government as well as private investors to come in to apply for those loans, and those private investors do not necessarily need to be Seychelles. But as long as it is the government, for example, buying into the bond. The other aspect, especially when we talk about SMEs, the other aspect is the fact that the proceeds of the bond, it's only SMEs registered in Seychelles who can have access to the bond. But at the same time, because of the advantage of having partners from overseas, for example, businesses investing in Seychelles, and as well as expertise, we have encouraged partnerships with local businesses to access these proceeds. So we have done various models, but one of the things that's very clear with the Blue Bond is you need to be a Seychelles registered business as well with majority Seychelles ownership, but you can partner with a foreign investor, and that gives some level of not only the red carpet approach to your foreign investor, but as well providing an opportunity for your SME to grow. So that's one of the things that we've done. But similar to Mauritius, we have the Seychelles Investment Board that also assists with this, because of course an investor coming into the Seychelles may not know where to go. They may want to tap into the opportunities, but they need to play by the rules that we've set. And this is something that they can assist with.
Okay. Yeah. So, Paul, mainly the companies within the World Ocean Council, I would imagine, I really don't know, but would be medium and small enterprise.
We have a mix of companies, big and small, and so it's about leadership in terms of commitment to being a responsible business operator with a view toward the future of the ocean, and being really committed to a healthy and productive ocean as well as a healthy and productive business.
Yeah.
So it really ranges from some of the biggest companies in the world to small and medium enterprises.
So then how, now both countries have an economic development board. And then I'm just trying to figure out the connection, how the
I'm not sure if you can hear me, Ranjan, but this is frozen again. I really don't know what the technical difficulty is. I'm really, sorry about this.
No worries. Okay. I'll just take the next question then, Angelique and Sevraj, with you guys. In the blue economy dialogue, there is an inherent conflict between the two discourses. One is growth, development, and the protection of ocean resources. How are the businesses, or how is your office looking at this? How are you trying to balance this, the two discourse? How is the protection of environment also taken care of? What are the instruments that you have to do that?
Okay, so we have very clearly defined roles and responsibilities, because we do have institutions and authorities that have their own responsibilities, I would say. And here, in terms of the Economic Development Board, basically we are the agency to facilitate the project, so implementation. That's one thing. But at the same time, we play that role of arranging or liaising with the relevant authorities. For example, if it relates to an environmental issue, then we refer to the Department of Environment of the Ministry, and whereby we arrange, we make sure that the promoter is already aware, well before starting the project, already aware about all the environmental rules and regulations that are there that have to be followed. If there is a need, for example, for an EIA license, then the promoter has to submit through the proper channel to get the EIA license before the project starts. Now, if there is an EIA license requirement, and there is probably also a need to engage with the local community. For example, if an aquaculture project is being developed, there is a need to engage with the local community to explain to them, to tell them what the project is about, how it is going to benefit them, and also how the project will also look developing in terms of a sustainable manner, so that there is no harm, I would say, to the immediate environment where the project is being developed. So this is just an example, but of course we do have other legislations. For example, when it comes to fisheries, then there is a Fisheries and Marine Resources Act. We do have a Maritime Zone Act. We do have a Merchant and Shipping Act. So there are various, I would say, pieces of legislation which are already in place. But it does not stop there. We continue to improve the ecosystem or even the environment further. At the same time, protecting the environment, keeping it sustainable, but at the same time also to make it more conducive for the investor to come and set up projects. Yeah. So it's a balancing act that we play. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So on our side, and you really hit on the heart of SECAT's work. So it's always been seen to be conflicting when we have economic development sort of pit against environmental conservation. So one of our flagship programs flagship mechanism is the Debt for Nature swap. And here is an example where the government of Seychelles was able to buy back its debt with certain conditions. So it was provided an impact loan to buy back the debt, but it had to commit to protecting 30% of its exclusive economic zone, as well as providing $6.6 million as grants towards ocean conservation climate adaptation projects. Now, SECAT is the one that facilitates these transactions, but it really shows you that the debt for nature swap works both for the economy as well as marine protection, because the economic benefit is dependent on marine protection. So alongside that, we've also developed a marine spatial plan to be able to better plan our ocean space so that we can make sure we don't have conflicting uses of the ocean, or the way we manage it is in a more sustainable way. Just to note that with the debt for nature swap, this was a debt buyback of 21.6 million US dollars. The repayment to the impact investors only 3%, which is much lower than the original debts that the government had, as well as the repayment period was increased to 20 years. So it was really a good deal to free up the government for the burdens that they had in terms of high external debt. And just to note that the impact loan that we gave to the government can be paid back in part by Seychelles rupees. So that removes pressure on the foreign exchange revenues. Another short example that I want to share, again, going back to the blue bond. So whichever investments that you make in Seychelles using the proceeds of the blue bond has to follow the environmental and social safeguards put in place by the World Bank. So it's not a matter of just going to the bank and you'll have a business idea. This business idea needs to make sense for the environment and not have a negative impact on society. So the core principle of the blue bond is not to go out and fish more. In fact, it is intended for you not to be exploiting more, but rather adding value to what we have. And finally, the point I want to speak on is the most recent project of SECAT, where we are currently supporting the government of Seychelles to map out how much seagrass it has within its EEZ. And with that, we hope to develop a financing mechanism based on this amount of seagrass, because of course, seagrass is providing a very important ecosystem service by absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and storing carbon, and therefore providing a global good in terms of combating climate change.
Okay. Paul, can you hear us? I think it's frozen again.
It's frozen, yeah.
Okay, so to take advantage of all these opportunities that you have discussed now, I mean, there are on the environmental side, some of these regulations are already in place. I mean, in some of the other countries that I've spoken to previously in my other webinars, they are still struggling with putting up some kind of regulation on the environmental side before they go ahead with the blue economy projects. One of the, I mean, even before we come to this discussion of the blue economy and all the opportunities, one thing I was yesterday actually in another webinar session, and there they have been talking about the seabed mapping. What are your boundaries? What is your exclusive economic zone, so that you can avoid conflict? There are extra, I mean, the countries which are not in your vicinity are even coming into your waters and kind of exploiting your resources. How do you believe that should be handled? Because this to me is like, you know, when you go and build your house, you need to know your boundary. You need to know where you're going to have your garden, you're going to have your kids' play area, your house. So that's very important. Has that process started in your respective areas? How far have you been able to map your exclusive economic zone to the extent that you know this is going to be my area for aquaculture, that will be for tourism and so on? Yes, Sivraj.
Yeah, so I think the spatial planning is very important, as you mentioned. And the process has started in Mauritius, I would say. So we do have a few agencies like the Mauritius Oceanography Institute that is looking more at the water in terms of the bathymetric survey. We do also have the Ministry of Housing and Land with the support of India, where they are doing the hydrographic survey as well. So all these are already in place. And when it comes to, like you mentioned, whether we want to, let us say, promote or favor one industry against the other, I think the very important point to remember here is that if we take, for example, aquaculture and tourism, sometimes what happens is that you have tourism which takes more importance than aquaculture. So how do you manage that? And this is where I think when we started with the aquaculture development, so just to put it in context, so the aquaculture development started many years back. I think some 18 years back it started. Just one single promoter came and said that he wants to start fish farming in Mauritius. At that time, we had no legislation. We knew nothing about it. So we said, okay, we will allow you to do it on a trial basis. So allowing on a trial basis, because of course the sea is a public domain, you can't just let out the sea like this. So a trial basis, and with that trial basis, along with we partnered with a promoter, I would say, to be able to learn at the same time and also develop the necessary, I would say, required legislation, the pieces of regulations that were needed. And this is how we have started with the aquaculture. And then a few years down the lane, we came up with the aquaculture master plan that mapped the sites where we can develop these activities. So definitely there is a clear map or mapping of the sites for aquaculture that has been done. Similarly for the tourism industry, so it's all around the coast. All the hotels, I will say that they are developed around the coast. We do have marine protected areas, MPAs, and these are absolutely no-go zone for any development for anybody else. No commercial exploitation happens around these MPAs, and these are very well guarded. We do have Ramsar sites as well, same thing for those sites. So these are not allowed for development. So definitely we do have the type of mapping that we're talking about. It is available, yeah.
And how are you securing your areas? How are you protecting these areas, like from external robbers, let us say, thieves?
No, this is something that I think when we look at that such a vast, I would say, EEZ, and which requires huge resources, and for small island development states, I think those resources are not easily available or accessible, so these are limited. And this is where I believe that, for example, if we speak of IUU fishing, and this is something that happens across all oceans, and this is where there is a need for collaboration with the other states in the region, and also with other institutions, international institutions, where we can, I won't say eliminate it totally, but at least reduce that sort of activity happening in our waters. Yeah, so collaboration is definitely needed, yes.
Maybe I could jump in here, Ranjan, and let's hope that the signal maintains.
When you get your chance
Apologies again.
you should just need to talk when you have your chance.
Apologies for that.
No worries.
Just a couple of thoughts around the mapping and also this maritime security and the role of the ocean industries and responsible companies as being part of the solution. And so in relation to what was just being mentioned about security and dealing with illegal and unlawful uses of the sea, the potential to explore the role of other industries, and we've had some discussions on this in the Gulf of Guinea, for example, where there's, as you know, a lot of piracy, to use the to explore the role of the high seas commercial operators in helping monitor or report on, in a very like a neighborhood watch kind of role, to report on activities that don't appear to be, or vessels that don't have their AIS, their automatic identification system on. Things like this, where it provides a backstopping to the authorities by being able to notify them of vessels that maybe look like there's something funny going on, or again, they're not showing up on the AIS data and these sort of things. So it would be a challenging thing to do, and of course, commercial operators don't want to necessarily get inappropriately caught up in legal proceedings, but they do want to help make sure that the ocean is being used appropriately. another part of that that's much more well developed, and that we're working to expand and make more comprehensive and scale up, is the role of vessels and platforms from various industries to be hosting or deploying instrumentation that can collect data. So this gets into the mapping side, and so particularly in the large EEZs, such as around the Seychelles and Mauritius and other island countries, to use vessels that are in transit to have them collecting oceanographic and climate and weather data, high seas fishing vessels, etc. Is really an opportunity for industry to be helping improve our understanding of the ocean, and really delivering on SDG 14.8, which is increase ocean knowledge.
Yes, Angelique, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm not going to sort of echo the points that have already been made, but indeed, you know, it's a very big task when you're a small island developing state taking care of Seychelles 1.35, Mauritius 1.9 million square kilometers. Another great statistics to make the point is Seychelles is currently protecting an area the size of Germany, but we have a population of 95,000. You know, it's and not all of us are Coast Guard officers, of course. So I think it is a difficult feat, and it is not only do we have great collaboration with our neighbors like Mauritius, where we're able to, on occasion, support each other with manpower as well as assets, and other collaboration through our regional body, the Indian Ocean Commission. But the use of technology is going to be very important. It's just that being a small island developing state, that's often difficult to access or to have available. And I think there is another really interesting opportunity for industry. So I do think technology, just in terms of monitoring the illegal activities, but also the quality of the water. So as you know, we continue to maintain this narrative of it's the health of the ocean. And I really want to echo what you said, Ranjan, at the beginning. Every time an illegal fisher comes into our waters, they're essentially stealing from our blue economy. And this is something that we need to secure. And I think there are different ways of doing it through collaboration. But our colleague Suraj from Mauritius talked about it initially, which is the joint management area between Seychelles and Mauritius. And there, you know, this was a decision by Seychelles and Mauritius that we weren't going to fight over this border dispute, right? We decided that we would come together and manage it together. So I think these are also innovative ways that we solve these boundary issues that oftentimes other countries have opted to have disputes or having to go to court with it. This is really another innovative way of dealing with things.
Yeah. I mean, that comes to me to the next point. I mean, we, India, Mauritius, Seychelles, and everywhere, all the island nations and the coastal countries along the IORA, Indian Ocean Dream Association, isn't it their responsibility collectively to protect this area? And then is World Ocean Council coming up to the IORA and talking about some of these initiatives, Paul?
Yeah, we have been engaging with. We've had discussions with IORA. We've had have ongoing discussions with the UNEP regional seas programs in various parts of the world, including the one that the Nairobi Convention that includes Seychelles and Mauritius as part of the grouping there. And there's also the large marine ecosystem programs and projects for different parts of the sort of regional ecosystem basis approach to oceans. So what we are seeing, and what I certainly see the need, and myself having worked with the UN Environment Program in the regional seas program for many years, helping in the early days of the program that covers the South Pacific region. So working with those 24, 27 island states and territories, what we see is the need and the opportunity to create regional ocean business leadership coalitions at that scale that bring together the industries, the leadership companies, as I was saying earlier, big and small from the various sectors, to really engage together, support the governments, support the communities and the economies by really working out those synergies and economies of scale. As I was mentioning about data collection, I'd highlight another area for that level of kind of collaboration and even scaling up to the global scale. And this is regarding adaptation and resiliency of port and coastal infrastructure. And as we know, with the climate change, the increased frequency and intensity of cyclones, typhoons, hurricanes, the need to ensure that port and coastal infrastructure, so roads, electrical grids, fuel pipelines, low-lying airports, all of this infrastructure is as ready and resilient to extreme weather events in particular, and over the longer term sea level rise, so that communities and economies and businesses and those that invest in the businesses are all able to be successful in the face of these impacts from especially extreme weather events.
Yeah, that's happening more and more often in the Arabian Sea nowadays. I mean, it's getting crazy as far as weather events are concerned right now.
That's
I
right.
have last 10 minutes and I don't have a single question. Maybe I'm watching something else here, but in the chat box there are no questions. I think I'm covering all the topics. Maybe I'm doing a good job. Maybe I don't know. But I have one last topic or last question so that we can finish. Not that we should finish, but just the last question from my side is: we have not spoken about any financial instruments, financial programs that are there in Seychelles and Mauritius, or even in the World Ocean Council, which will facilitate MSMEs to come to your countries and kind of facilitate these collaboration projects. Does government have a fund? Is there a private fund somewhere in respective countries, or in the US or elsewhere, which small island states can take advantage of? Sivraj?
See, for us, I mean, the main priority for us is to get investors, whether they are small, medium, or even big companies, to get them to set up in Mauritius about projects, whether it is in the ocean economy, even if it is a development project. So we look for companies that already have the funds and they come and set up in Mauritius. So that's how it works. Yeah, that's one thing. Having said this, the banks are there. The financing mechanism can go through the banks as well. But the banks, of course, if you're going to the bank will ask you for collateral. So then you have to provide the security, and then you get the loans from the bank, or even if you need the working capital and all that. But Mauritius is also a financial center. So we are a financial center whereby a lot of companies are already present in that space, and they do have, there is a possibility like these companies can also be looked at as funders. They could be venture capitalists and all those VC funds and all that, whereby if a project is coming, they can look at these opportunities as well. So from that perspective, we prefer to have companies which are already coming with the funds and the technology. They can have a local partner. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. But at least they have the funds and they come with the technology. Yeah.
Are there these accelerator programs and all in Mauritius? Do you have?
Yes, we do have. We do have incubation centers.
Incubation centers. Yeah.
Incubation centers where this is all about an idea. So if they have an idea, they can come and incubate the idea there, and then from there take it to the next level of development. So the system is there. Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, I'm also engaged in one small development project that we are looking at right now.
Right.
And this particular bank is having a sustainability development fund or something in their bank, which we have applied for.
Yeah.
Is there something like this? Is there a fund within the bank where they can startups? And again, I'm not talking about like IoT and blockchain and all these. Like I'm talking even about like very simple, fundamental, small projects that somebody wants to start, want to take up.
See, these banks, I will say, they are commercial banks. So of course, they will look at their own in terms of before giving money out to any company or to any investor. They will look at, first of all, at securing themselves first. So that's how it works. So they are there to provide funding through loans and all these financing mechanisms. But specifically, if there is a fund, whether it is at the level of government and all that, I will say no, we don't have this type of funding available. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Anjali?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure we have a fund that is accessible for non-Seychelles WOC. So if you're a private investor like Mauritius, we would like you to come and invest in the country with your capital, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we do give you the opportunity to partner with a local investor, especially if you want to have access to the blue bond. And with the blue bond proceeds, the beauty about the blue loan is the fact that the interest rate is only at 4%. And that is significantly lower than commercial rates, which is at 12 to 13%. So that in itself provides an incentive. But we also have a series, many grant programs within Seychelles to support SMEs in terms of those early days, whether it's seed capital, whether it's research and development. SECAT itself provides grants of we provide grants of up to 75,000 US dollars, but every year we disburse $700,000. We have different bodies inside the country providing seed capital as well. So there are these opportunities. We have one incubation center really still getting up and running. I think this is one of the difficulties, I have to say. We're not as entrepreneurial as the Mauritians. So this doing incubation is a very important aspect for growth, which we're looking to focus on. And Ranjan, if you permit me, I've seen a question about science.
Please do take those questions.
Yes, I've seen a question about science and how can the scientific community support our ambitions. And I think science is so very important. SECAT is a body that is able to fund marine scientific research. So collaborating with non-governmental organizations in the country is also very exciting for us. Being able to see research that has been done elsewhere but being replicated in Seychelles is also something very useful and helpful to ensure that we have evidence-based decision-making. One of the things that's always worth saying to the scientists, it's not science for science sake, but science for sustainable development, and that is something that we continue to push. Perhaps our proudest achievement is our collaboration with the Necton mission. So the Necton undertook an expedition, of a deep sea expedition, where they were able to take a submarine and go 250 meters below the Indian Ocean. And SECAT was able to, together with Necton, support the participation of 6 Seychelles WOC on this mission, as well as their research project. So again, we think science is very important, particular for the health of the ocean aspect.
There's one question on the chat box. They're asking, who should the entrepreneurs or the companies such as World Ocean Council, their members, who should they contact in your respective countries in the first instance?
I definitely say the Seychelles Investment Board.
Okay.
Yes. For us, again, it's the Economic Development Board, and I can share my email here. And if anybody has some projects, we will be more than happy to listen to them. And then, first of all, it will be the advisory part, and then we will take it forward in terms of what is possible. So I'll just type my...
all of us are also members on LinkedIn. So we are available on LinkedIn. I think you should connect us on LinkedIn, whoever is interested. And then from there, you can take a private chat with our panelists today.
Yeah.
That would also be
Ranjan, I might mention a couple of quick points in terms of both the investment community and the innovation community. And so a couple of things that we're doing is we've got a very steadily developing group of investors coming together around what we call the Ocean Funds Roundtable. And so this has emerged from years of work building up the Ocean Investment Platform capacity at the World Ocean Council. And so this group is increasingly is meeting to then really develop the community of practice amongst the investment community that's focused on SDG 14 and the blue economy. And so to get back to some of the points that came up a little while ago, we're working to then bring the opportunities to this group of investors from developing countries, from small island states, so that they can more readily access quality projects and really help create that pipeline on blue economy development and link it to the investors that have a particular interest. And there are more and more of these funds getting set up, some of them sector specific around, say, sustainable aquaculture, others that are more broadly looking at sort of an SDG 14 or a blue economy fund that can consider many sectors. So that's one thing. So I think this will be increasingly creating an opportunity for Mauritius, Seychelles, and other countries to have a pool of investors to reach out to for the companies that are trying to grow or to get started. On the innovation side, we are similarly, and Ranjan, you and I have spoken about this, creating this Blue Economy Innovation Initiatives Network. So there are a growing number of accelerators, incubators, startup hubs, challenge competitions around the world focused on various aspects of the blue economy. So under the World Ocean Council umbrella, we're working to link them together so that we can, again, connect them with some of the more local efforts to help inform and share experience with, if there's accelerators being developed in small island developing states, for example, and linking and creating more cross-fertilization. So if it's aquaculture development in a small island state that is the challenge and a particular issue, let's get some of these innovation challenge competitions that are going on in Northern Europe or the US and elsewhere to focus on the needs of small island states and bring those ideas and startups to help solve these challenges.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea and we should take it ahead. Before we wrap up, I'll just take one last question from the chat box. Do you kindly have any suggestions about what steps other African countries should take in the development of their blue economy sectors? I think you are the right people to answer that question.
I'll let Angelique go first.
What steps should other African countries take? I think perhaps the first step is reevaluating or rethinking about the ocean, seeing it more than just the new frontier or the next thing that we're going to exploit, or that we've already heavily exploited, and really thinking about new opportunities that could arise. And then I think it's really that political will that is absolutely necessary to make these things happen. So you do need to be pushing your governments to be looking at these opportunities. I think one of the most important drivers nowadays, in particular after COVID-19, is employment. I mean, I've had this conversation before COVID, we were talking about how the blue economy could provide so many new jobs. And I think if you want your government to move on it, being able to address unemployment issues is definitely a good motivator. So I would suggest, let's make sure governments have the political will.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe they should have a Ministry of Blue Economy then.
Yes.
So just to add on what Angelique said, I think first and foremost also is very important that all the states, all the countries that have ocean as a resource, first and foremost they have to realize that this is they have to be developed in a very sustainable manner, because the resources are not, I would say, not limitless. They are limited in terms of the resources. That's the first thing. And the second part I would like to add here, at our level in Mauritius, in terms of the ease of doing business, so we are very much in the, I would say, at the front of the ease of doing business. And whereby today we are ranked 13th worldwide, globally, among 190 countries. And taking this, we have also been working with countries in the region, mostly in Africa, to help them improve their own business environment. So, and this is done, for example, there could be a program by the World Bank or other institutions that send countries, experts to us, to Mauritius, and then they come and learn how we have done it and how we are doing it and how they can improve their own processes. So in that sense, we are more than happy and more than open to be able to work with countries, to assist countries, to help countries if they have to develop their ocean economy. Yeah.
Thanks, Yavraj. Yes, Paul, last word to you. What do you think?
Well, I would certainly echo what we've heard from the Seychelles and Mauritius, but also just very briefly to say that I think the more that countries can work to bring together the leadership companies in the blue economy sector to really create a driving force that works on responsible ocean business development to bring together the jobs, as Angelique was saying, and really provide the business opportunities for the country that can drive things forward, whether or not the government is able to be as supportive as it could be. Let's harness the role of the responsible business community in each country and at the regional level as well.
Perfect. Yeah. I think we are out of time. We are 5 minutes past the hour. And I would like to thank you, everyone, for joining in on this lovely discussion. These videos will be available on YouTube. We are recording this. And please visit our YouTube channel for all the previous episodes. Next episode will also be on another island states. You will see when we get them. It takes time to get nice people to talk to on the blue economy. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for our attendees who are from around the world. And stay tuned for more. Visit our social media pages and we'll keep you updated on what's happening. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening, everyone.
Thank you, Ranjan.